Assalamu alaikum. Today we are here in Formula, Maldives, and this is 30 of Formula. We all are proud to be here because this is what symbolizes our island the most and what differentiates the most from the islands of the Maldives. This is the place which differentiates it. Today we have here with us Professor Tariq Ramadan. Good afternoon and assalamu alaikum. So today I would like to ask you some questions. What can you tell us about your childhood? Like, how did you become a professor? How did you work to become a professor?
That's a strange question to start with, but it's an important one. I was originally, my family is coming from Egypt, Geneva, where I studied. First, what I did was quite interesting. I have my father who was completely in Islamic studies. He was a lawyer, but he was involved in Islamic activism from his very young age. So he was completely in this, but I was the youngest of six. So I had my first brother was a physician, the second was a teacher, and they went for literature. So I decided myself to study first philosophy and French literature. So I did 2 masters in this first, and then what happened is that I was a teacher when I was very young. And then I started thinking about being much more involved in Islamic studies. So I went to Egypt, had also a training, very traditional with shuyukh, and I got the ijazat in disciplines there, 7 of the main Islamic disciplines. And then when I came back, I started teaching philosophy and Islamic studies, first in secondary schools, and then I started to be at the university in Switzerland, and then I was supposed to go to the States to be a professor there, and they prevented me from going there on the Bush because this was the time of the war on terror. So with no reason, I won the case against them, and the authority acknowledged the fact that I had the right to go to the States, and I ended up at Oxford, at the University of Oxford as a professor of contemporary Islamic studies. So this is a long journey from my childhood to Oxford.
Yeah, so basically I think all of us, we have to work a lot in order to reach that level. Isn't that right?
I think that what is important is whatever is the context, whatever is your personal situation. My parents were in exile. You can be poor. You can be disadvantaged in a society, disenfranchised. You can, today, there are some who are looking at us, they can be involved in drug addictions or whatever. At the end of the day, you have to take your responsibility. You have to try your best to be involved in education. So it takes effort, it takes energy, it takes commitment, but it's up to you. You can make it. It's possible. So, and for me, what was very important is that when we are with God, when you rely, the very essence of it, tawakkul ala Allah, which means I know I can do it, but with His power, with His will, His presence, I can do it. I can make it, and this is very important.
Now, what do you think is the consequence that the Muslims face today in the society? The biggest consequence? What is the biggest problem that they face today?
There are 2 things I would say. The first is internal. It's our lack of understanding of our religion. So the first is our education. How do we understand Islam? We have trends, we have a diversity. Nothing wrong with the diversity among Muslims. But when this diversity ends up being division, and when we are reacting in very formalistic way, very literalist, and then we don't understand the very meaning of Islam, which has to do with spirituality, it has to do with self-reform, it has to do with tazkiyat al-nafs, it has to do with changing yourself, it has to do with a positive presence in the world. If you don't understand this, you're not going to understand your religion. On the other side, you have other civilizations, other religions, and you have the world culture which is attracting us. So we don't know our religion, and we are attracted by trends and emotions, fashion, music, movies that have nothing to do with our ethics. We are not against arts, we are not against movies, we are against the lack of ethics in all this.
Yes.
So what we need is also to be able to face what is coming from the dominant culture, from the economic powers, with the transnational corporation in fashion, as well as in arts, entertainment, as well as the means that we have now, internet, Facebook, Twitters, all these things, they can just destroy you if you don't have an access, if you don't have a center. Who am I? What do I want to do? What do I want to achieve as a human being, as a Muslim, as a believer, as a man, as a woman? And this, what we have in the Quran is clear. الذين إن مكناهم في الأرض أقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة. Those, when we are settling them on earth, they pray and they are giving the zakat and they spread what is right and resist what is wrong. This is what we have. So these are two problems: the lack of knowledge about ourselves, attractions by the surrounding dominant culture.
What do you think is the role of youth in the society? And I mean, like, what should they do in order to like promote the society?
I think that once again, we have to be very cautious with the concept of youth and young people.
Yes.
Because at one point I had one of my friends who was talking to the youth and said, we, the young people, and he was 40 years old. So if you speak about the state of mind, the mindset to be a young mindset, that's fine. But if it means because you are young, you are refusing responsibility, that's not the way. The Prophet, peace be upon him, والسلام, was giving authority and responsibility to young people. Usama was leading an army, he was 20. So it means that he was relying on his competence, and he was also relying on the competence of men and women within his society.
Yes.
So I would say that the responsibility of the young is to understand, look, I'm young, it means I have more responsibility because I have more energy and I have more time. And the three things that are essential as Muslims is first, your education.
Yes.
Your personal education. How much time do you allocate to have a mind, to construct a thought, to think by yourself, to understand the world? How much time you allocate to understand yourself and then also to read people around you, because you have to read. You have in the Quran, "Siru fil ard wanzuru," so you have to travel around the world. You have to look at this. Look at this. You have to read the sea. You have to read the sun. You have to read the nature. You have to read the signs. This is so important. So a young, and especially in Maldives, this is where you have to be connected with nature and you have to be connected with knowledge. This is one. Second is to ask yourself, how am I going to be useful on earth? Because at the end of the day, we are here to be better human beings, but we have to be useful. How much are you useful? How much are you useless in this society? Are you an added value, or are you an invisible element? Do you want only money, or do you want to serve? Do you want power, and do you want power to serve? What do you want? So this is why you have to ask yourself your role within the society. And if you can be a woman, you can be a man. There is an equality here before God, and it is in the society. You have also to be a useful person. And the last thing which is important is to be useful and to use your knowledge to be useful. You have to be open-minded. You have to look at the world. In the Quran, we are using one verse to tell to people of other faiths, look, we have to know each other. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً. No, the verse is وَخَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسِ إِنَّا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ مِنْ ذَكَرٍ وَأُنْثَى وَجَعَلْنَاكُمْ شُعُوبًا وَقَبَائِلَ لِتَعَارَفُوا. We made you tribes and nations in order to know each other. For young like you, for young people, how much do you take from your time to know the other, to learn about other civilizations, about history? We need to be open-minded, because our way of being useful within the society is not to be Muslims among Muslims. No, the best among you, خَيْرُكُمْ أَنْفَعُكُمْ لِلنَّاسِ. The best among you is the one who is the more useful for the people. The people, لِلنَّاسِ, not only Muslims. So you have to be open and you have to be very cautious in Maldives, not to have this insular mindset. We
Yes.
are in an island, we are cut from the world, that's over. That's over. Internet
Yes.
is here, Facebook is here. Everything is in your living room. So you have to be open in a positive way and not to be colonized in the wrong way.
Yes. And what is the advice that you might give to the youth who are trying to promote the society or who are trying to get better?
Yes, that's important. You know, the starting point of our religion has to do with education, as I said, but also with discipline.
Yes.
So many people are coming to me and say, how come you are doing all what you are doing? Traveling a lot, giving lectures, teaching, writing books, all this. You know what? I'm disciplined with my time. Early in the morning, I wake up, I write and read. I do things in a way which is structured. You can't do many things if you are not structured. So
Yes.
I would say to the young people, first you have to be disciplined. Second, try in your life to think by yourself.
Yes.
Do not repeat what is said by people. Do not repeat what is said by people. Even in the Quran, when you are with your parents, you have to check what your parents are saying.
Yes.
وَإِن جَاهَدَاكَ عَلَىٰ أَن تُشْرِكَ بِي مَا لَيْسَ لَكَ بِهِ عِلْمٌ فَلَا تُطِعْهُمَا. If your parents are asking you to do something or to think something or to do or to promote something which is unjust and they are asking you to do it, don't obey. Even your parents. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that you have to lack respect. It doesn't mean that you have to be disrespectful. No, but you have to check. The measure of everything is justice, is kindness, is honesty, is dignity. It's not my parents are saying so I do. No, I check with my parents, I check with the people I love, I check within my society. And even with your brothers and sisters in Islam, it's not because they are Muslims that they are right. Many Muslims are wrong. But the good Muslim is not the Muslim who is following the wrong Muslims or the Muslims who are wrong. The good
Yes.
Muslims is the one who is correcting the Muslims who are doing wrong. So something which here has to do with thinking by yourself, being independent. The only one on whom you rely is Allah, it's God.
Yes.
Anything else, everybody else is not somebody that you have to depend on. You are taking from, you are learning from, but you should be independent. And the last thing that I would say to the youth, the very essence of your presence on earth is to serve. So ask yourself, who are you serving? And by who you serve, you have a value. This
Yeah.
is giving you a value. What is your value on earth? If you are invisible in what you give, invisible in what you think, invisible in who you are useless. You are
Yes.
useless. And this is exactly the opposite of what Islam is all about.
Okay, so what is your view in youth getting involved in political activities? Like, I mean, the political activities in Maldives are pretty tense right now, and so what is your view in them getting involved?
We don't have a problem in Islam being involved in politics. The problem that we have is the way you are involved in politics. There is one hadith, and Imam al-Bukhari was saying it's coming in 350 chapters in the
Yes.
fiqh, in Islamic law and jurisprudence. And we all know this hadith saying, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ. Your actions, your deeds are through your intention or by your intention. So you have to check your intention. So when, for example, somebody is entering politics with this obsession with power, with getting at the highest level, and with no ethics, whatever all the means are used and potentially be used in order to achieve this, that's not the way we have to deal with politics. There is something
Yes.
which is an contradiction in terms between this way of dealing with politics and what Islam is asking. But now, if you are entering into politics and your intention is, I'm here to serve the community, I'm here to serve the people within the society, so this is the good politics. This is political ethics and ethics in politics in order for you to do the right thing. So the Prophet, peace be upon him, والسلام, was involved in politics. He was implementing what is in the Quran. When Aisha radiallahu anha was asked about the Prophet, what did she say?